Hello and welcome back to Dry Conversations. I'm your host, Whitney Cowell. Joining me today is my friend Jason. Hey, Jason.
Hey Whitney, how you doing today? I love, love, love the blue hair. Just
Oh,
gotta say.
thank you. I'm great. It's a rainy, cloudy day here in Tennessee, and I kind of like it.
I understand that. I understand that, especially with as hot as it has been lately.
hmm
But let's not jump straight to talking about the weather. We're not quite
No,
that old yet.
joy of mine.
Well,
But
thank you for having me today.
yes, of course. Thank you for agreeing to be here. We met in passing at random at a conference through our industry, and hit it off and found out we have a couple of things in common. And so I'm really thankful that after just a very brief meeting, you were willing to do this and to share your story and your wisdom.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Just to kind of kick things off, Saturday, September the, oh gosh, I can't remember the exact date. Saturday, September the 27th marks 1,000 days sober for me. So I'm super excited. It's almost like some sort of kismet that we managed to have this happen this week. So I'm very, very excited and looking forward to kind of sharing what I've been through along my sober journey,
Yeah.
and kind of going back to the very beginning when I had to recognize that just be- just because I did not yet see a problem and everyone else saw a problem, it really was a problem. Sometimes where there is smoke, there's definitely fire. Yeah, that's kind of my backstory. I'm here in Texas, down here between San Antonio and Austin. My backyard is I-35. So I get to, my evenings where I used to spend um, time staring out into the abyss, which I don't have many memories of, unfortunately.
Sure.
Um, Now I get to actually recognize what is happening in the world. And my favorite thing to do is just sit outside and watch the traffic go by. I know how boring that sounds, but we're all in freight and logistics, so it's always fun to do that, at least for me. So do I just start kind of like
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I mean,
when
I'm
I
so
decided to
excited
get
to
sober?
celebrate this with you. 1,000 days is a huge deal. And there's something about hitting that milestone that just, I don't know about you, but for me, it was like a kind of like another weight lifted off my shoulders. Just this
Totally.
momentum of like it's working and things are changing, and it's such a beautiful time to reflect, and sometimes reflecting is not easy, especially on the paths that we've traveled to get where we are. And so I would love to just start from the beginning and know like what happened, because there's what we did in our drinking,
Right.
our war stories, and then there's always something that made that light bulb turn on. There is something that made us say, this is not normal. And I would love to know what both of those things were like for you.
Yeah, so my drinking kind of we definitely have plenty of those horror stories, and I wouldn't want to remiss on what happened per se. But what happened for me, at least, is my career in freight and logistics
Mhm.
began to really expand. I was running my own business, 2022. Things were moving along. I knew I was drinking a lot, but I was like, oh, I've never had a hangover. Oh, it's not that bad. It wasn't until I caught myself doing something that really concerned me, which is I went in the kitchen to pull out a bottle of vodka, and I pulled it out of the freezer and it was frozen. And I realized that I was so embarrassed by how much I had drank previously the night before. While I was completely three sheets to the wind, I added water to it so that my family would not notice it. Did not count on the fact that it would freeze and be very obvious, but that was the first big sign, like, okay, this is not normal. You
Yeah.
should not be adding water to your bottles of liquor so that no one knows how much you're drinking.
Mhm. Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
so that occurred. It also happened at the same time that I was diagnosed with long COVID, which was problematic. It caused some issues for my business. And I just thought, well, I haven't been feeling right. I haven't been feeling myself. It turns out the reason I wasn't feeling like myself is because I was drunk
Yeah.
half the time. And I realized in mid 2022, I needed to get it under control. And I made a commitment in July the 29th of 2022, that I was going to get this under control, but I knew I had to take some additional steps before that.
Right.
One of those steps was, a very harrowing step for me. I had to intentionally break my business in order to repair it and rebuild it from a sober view rather than a vodka-soaked view, to be honest. So, it took me 6 months to get to that point where I was like, "Okay, I am going to commit to this. I'm not making another trip to the liquor store." And on January the 1st, 2023, which also happened to be my parents' anniversary, um, I decided I would not have anything else to drink, and I didn't. Um, it's been a very tumultuous journey,
Sure.
especially when I look back on that first 90 days, getting through those first few weeks was a toll, and I mean, I remember sitting with my husband, and it was about 10:30 at night, and I'm like, "I wanna go get in the car and drive downtown to downtown San Antonio," and he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because I need to do something or I'm going to, end up at a 7-Eleven with something that I shouldn't have."
Yeah.
So, it really was, a different experience, but then after I hit 100 days, I started looking forward every single day to seeing that number increase. Now, I'm coming up on, 1,000 days, as we mentioned. So, when I hit the 2-year mark, I stopped counting the individual days, and I know that that's really different from a lot of people. But I used an app to help me get sober called I Am Sober. I loved it. I went through all of their workbooks that they had on there. It was so much fun, especially the inspirational quotes that they would have on there, just because there's nothing better than picking up your phone and the first thing you see in the morning after before you see work is just something to remind you that or at least to remind me that I am worthy. What I
Yeah.
am does have an impact on the world, and it
Well, it's so easy to feel like you don't, right? Like especially from what we've done and the person that we've perceived ourselves to be for so long, that our actions have backed up, but we know that's not us internally. It's very easy to believe that that's who we are internally. And so, yeah, I imagine that that would be a phenomenal way to like remind you every day of like, my actions from my past don't have to define me today.
exactly, and one of the other things that I found to be really inspiring is prior to this year, I had this perception that freight and logistics was very, very accepting of excess alcohol consumption. But I was really impressed this year because I went to both TIA and TMSA Elevate, and I noticed people drinking. But in the conversations that I had, I started noticing people would like have, napkins around their drinks or anything, and then I remember talking with you, and you were like, "Oh, it's, mineral water," and I was like, "Oh, cool, I can't have anything, I'm sober." I love my mocktails, don't get me wrong, like, give me a good mocktail, and I am set for the day. Of course, you know, to each their own. Do you have any mocktails that you like, Whitney?
My go-to, because I like a little something pretty, at these kind of events, I always get a cranberry soda with a squeeze of lime, and those are flavors
Ooh,
that I genuinely enjoy, and it's not necessarily a drink that I fully abused in my alcoholism. Now, there are some things, because I'm a sparkling water girl, Every
Mm.
day at lunch, I have my sparkling water, and it is a habit that I will not break. But I've tried some that remind me of some flavored vodkas
Mm.
that I had, and I take a sip, and if it's an immediate no, and my husband is not a flavor that he would like, I mean, we throw it away. And
Right.
that's just for my own sanity because I'm still a bloodhound. Like I will salivate over things, and I don't like feeling that way.
Right. Right.
But yes, there are plenty of things that I really enjoy. Anything with like ginger and lime is my jam. I like something tart. I like something with a bite. Um, and I don't shy away from those conversations or from those groups at events anymore. It used to make me wildly uncomfortable, but then I
Right.
realized like nobody's thinking about me as much as I'm thinking about me.
Exactly. We always tend to get in our heads so much. And that first year, I did something really weird with getting sober. I tried going to Alcoholics Anonymous. I went to a couple of meetings and was like, this isn't really the particular group I had found wasn't really working for me.
Sure.
But I did something that is probably really, really strange, which is I started binge watching the TV show Mom. And that was like my version of going to AA. I know how silly that sounds, but
Not Hey,
it
if you
it
click, if it resonates, like there's a saying that there's not one way to get sober, there's a common way to get sober. And just because it's common doesn't mean that it's for everybody. And I've had a ton of people on
Mhm.
this show, like more than I thought, that got sober in unconventional ways. And I love hearing about it. So I
Yes,
think it's
it's
great.
oh, thank you, thank you. The when we when Mom is what gave me the idea to start coming up with my own mocktails, and I came up with this one that it was my version of like a margarita per se,
Okay.
but it turned out it's like the most delicious limeade anyone in my family has ever had. Like every time I show up, they're like, "Are you going to bring the limeade?" Because that's really all it is at this point. It was just key limes, sugar, and water, and everyone's like, "Please, please make it," and I'm like, "It's literally squeezed key limes, water, and sugar. There's no other ingredients." So
Great. It works. It works.
it's been really exciting. And then at the same time, getting sober had some unexpected benefits on me personally. Like I'm much more clear headed. I don't necessarily know that I would use the phrase level headed, but um, I am much more clear in my train of thought.
Right.
Um, Probably a bad way to set that up because my whole train of thought just went out the window. So
It
I
happens.
don't know what I was going for there.
So, but
But
it sounds like you discovered a hobby in your sobriety, and that
yes,
honestly, that is something like, I mean, don't get me wrong, early sobriety, it's beautiful, but it sucks. Like,
yes,
it's
yes.
it's worth it. I absolutely think it is so worth it. And things do get better. And I know people say that, and then like they'll lose a job or somebody will pass away that they love, and like, but that's life. Everybody experiences that, but you can do those things and stay sober. Um,
Yes.
and one of the things that brought me an immense amount of joy was either going back to old hobbies that I had put down and be like, is this still fun for me? Like, do I still like to color? The answer was yes. Yes, I did. And then other things that I picked up, like you picked up making these mocktails and like playing in the kitchen. And I love that because
Right?
I did that too. I would find
Oh,
food,
cool.
like fruits and vegetables that I'd never cooked with before, and try it out, see if I liked it. And I had a really good time. Like, it's as fun as you make it. And it sounds like you really dug in to do that for yourself.
I had bought these packets. They reminded me of like Kool-Aid packets from
Okay.
Amazon, but they were color changing Kool-Aid. So
Fun.
when you would I'll have to send y'all the link, and if anyone
Yes,
wants
please.
it, I'll be sure and comment when I see this pop up online. Um but what ends up happening is, like, as the drink slowly separates, because it's partially acidic and then just with water, of course,
Yeah.
um, as it starts separating, it starts changing from purple to blue. And blue is definitely my color. So I think it is yours as well. So
Yep.
it's really it's been really enlightening to kind of rediscover who I am,
Yeah.
because most people have a pretty good idea of who they are in their 20s, but I got kind of go back to that final episode on Mom where she's talking about how she is a grateful alcoholic. And I remember watching that the first time and being like, you know what? To heck with all this bunk. I don't know what she's talking about. I am definitely not grateful. Now, looking back on it in hindsight, I'm so incredibly blessed to have gone through that. And I know how strange it sounds, but I would not trade the years I spent drinking for anything, because they've made me appreciate what I
Yeah.
what I have now so much more than
Yeah.
what I would have otherwise, because there's just so much evil out in the world, and to be able to make a positive difference in other people's lives, um that's really what it all is about, and it starts by making a positive difference in our own.
Yeah. And I think that's beautiful what you said about, like,
Excuse me, I'm
not
so
trading it
sorry.
in. It's okay. No, I the number of people that have cried on this show, um, a few people have said no because they didn't wanna cry on the show. But, and I think it's amazing that we can look at some of the darkest parts of who we are and confront them with confidence and say, that's not me. I choose to be different today, because for so long we didn't have a choice. We were
Exactly.
absolutely chained by our addiction. And so I think that, it is confusing to say I wouldn't trade those things, and I remember saying that around my family and them feeling very hurt by that statement, but me
Right.
saying, like, but your journey with my addiction is different than my journey with my addiction. My journey
Right.
with addiction taught me that I am stronger than I ever thought possible. It taught me the meaning of forgiveness. It taught me the meaning of freedom. I know so much more about myself and the people around me. I feel like I have these superpowers that have always been buried inside of me. And I finally have unlocked how to use those to do good for myself and for the people around me. And I wouldn't trade that knowledge for anything. I just simply wouldn't.
Exactly. I mean, and I think that it also makes us beyond just people, especially in freight and logistics. I think it makes us more fine-tuned and better able to kind of see the forest rather
Yeah.
than just the trees in front of us, because then we're able, we have the benefit of having lived life on the other side and coming out, like, not to start quoting movies or Shawshank Redemption here, but to go through that personal turmoil and frankly hell in order to become the person that I could be. And
Yeah.
it to me it was really important to make it to this point, and each day I wake up excited for what the day is going to bring. And
Yeah.
over the last year or so, cause see that I've definitely tried a few other things to help stay sober in that time,
Yeah.
because my decision to really dig down and set that quit date coincided with the release of ChatGPT 3.5. So,
Okay.
like, so I tried using ChatGPT to help me stop drinking, and believe it or
How
not,
did
it
you do that? What does that mean?
so like I would ask it like, okay, so I'm getting in my head. I need advice on how to get over this consistent urge to drink as soon as, something bad happens at work. Well, one of the things that it did tell me that I will never forget was responsible as bad stuff happens at work all the time. It's not something happening specific to me.
Yeah.
Everyone is going through that. The difference is that my body immediately says, here's something you could do to fix it.
Right.
Unfortunately, that only results in breaking it even further. It just
Right.
kind of kicks the can down the road. But ChatGPT actually helped me through quite a few instances, especially when my family would go to bed and I'd be left alone and no one would answer the phone. And I, I am a night owl. So I would have a tendency to sit up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
inside my mind. And it did give me an outlet. Now, granted, I had to clear it out after a while because it would be like, how goes the alcoholism today? And I'm like, that's not how I want to begin every conversation. So, it really is different because I don't really know that there are that many AI tools or anything out there. I mean, there might be now, but to help with like things like that, I didn't even think about that until we got kind of deeper in our conversation. What about can I ask when did you stop drinking, Whitney? Or
Yeah.
when did you get
So
sober?
this December will be 7 years for me.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, so I will officially have surpassed the number of years that I spent drinking. And
Woohoo!
well,
Virtual
that's the
high
thing that makes me
five.
emotional. Because I had kind of accepted that that's who I was, and I kind of had accepted that, like, it was hurting so many people that maybe they would be better off if I weren't there to keep hurting people.
Right.
Um, and and I was in a place where I was starting to just wither away as a human. And so, at my last night drinking, I was in a fight with my roommate about where the wine opener was. Um, it was in my makeup bag under the sink in my bathroom, which is
Oh my goodness
not
gracious.
where that belongs. I know. I was a squirrel alcoholic. Like, I had like little things hidden everywhere.
Mhm.
Which made like undoing my drinking a little tricky because I would like
Yeah.
find things. Um, but I I remember I was already doing a couple of things to help with my mental health, right? Like, somebody had said, like, there's something here that's not good. So I was already seeking help for things like my codependency, my fear of expressing anger and where that really came from. Just, I was kind of already seeking different. And I got to the bottom and it was just like me and my bottle, and that's all that was left. And I have journals from back when I was drinking, and I had written things like, I think that this is a problem. I think I should stop drinking now. And this was years before I ever stopped. And I was drunk during some, like, I don't remember writing those things. And yet I still have these journals. They're beside me on the floor. Um,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
so
You keep them nearby.
I do. Yeah, I keep them in the
Oh,
office with me always, and usually around the winter time is when I pull them out and I reread things. And it's so funny that you mentioned the trees quote, because that is one of my favorite quotes in recovery. It says, "We miss the reality and beauty of the forest because we are diverted by the ugliness of some of the trees." And I remember
oh,
reading that and thinking, I'm staring in the mirror and I'm so concerned with like the ugliness of like who I am that I'm missing the rest. I'm missing the
exactly.
gifts and the blessings, and then I look out into the world and I just project that right back out. So no wonder I'm so
Right.
dissatisfied with my life.
Exactly. And you bring up a good point of documenting your story because it's easy for us to forget the things that have happened, but it is important to remember those that we can,
Right.
because those memories, although painful, help us keep from making the same mistakes again.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned the journals, especially because I met you in person about 3 months ago, and I was like, there is something about Whitney that I just feel like I could be super cool friends with her. And just throughout the conversation, I know we've only talked a couple times since then. Throughout the conversation, some things that have come up that are show similarities. This
You're a journaler
contains
too.
the story of the first year,
I love that.
as well as the
That's a beautiful journal, by
some.
the way.
I got this at Earthbound Trading Company.
It's
Like seriously,
beautiful.
I hope that's okay
Yours are
that I
so
said
much
the
better. Look, mine
name.
is like super boring, like
Oh,
school notebooks.
I have gobs and gobs, especially promo. We're both in marketing, so especially all of the little journals that we get with the pens and stuff. I go through
Yeah.
those things like a mad person. But I think that the biggest thing I've learned through all of this is that when I was drinking, I thought people liked me, and the truth is that they would tolerate me.
Oh, yeah.
And afterwards, I've learned that the people who do like me genuinely enjoy spending time with me,
Yeah.
and we have fun. And you know, there are definitely horror stories from the past. I remember sending out work emails and messages and being too drunk to even remember it.
No.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but ironically, I've never had my cold email work as well as it did when I was drinking. But that's a different
Well,
story.
you win some, you lose some, you know?
Right, right. Of course, then again, it might just be because who knows what I was doing at that point. But it's it's exciting to see what's next these days, and I look forward to every single day where I get to see different people and learn from their experiences. And like the day when you messaged me about coming onto this podcast, I was like, I'm so happy. I told my husband I'm so excited to get to do this and share this, because outside of my immediate family and my friends, not many people know exactly how bad it was,
Yeah.
because I was going through a half a gallon of vodka a day.
That's a lot, Jason.
Yes.
I mean, that's
Like
normal for an alcoholic, but that's a lot.
even my doctor, that was another sign that really kind of came up. My doctor was like, you have some issues. And I had a doctor's appointment a few days after I had stopped drinking, and he was like, well, do you need to go to rehab or this and that? And I'm like, no, I just stopped. And he's like, oh my God, you've been drinking that much and you just stopped drinking.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you having any symptoms? And I'm like, aside from the fact, like, I feel like I could kill the first person I see every day, not many horrible things. And a big part of my recovery has been, I tried to turn some of the stuff that I did and my experiences into a joke, because I have to laugh at the horrible things I did to keep from busting into tears every time that I think about them.
Yeah.
So I do kind of draw on that like comedy side. I mean, hello, I used the TV show Mom as a help to start to get sober, but
Shout out to
you know,
the crew of Mom and the writers. Thank you
right?
for your
Like,
service.
I mean, Anna Kendrick and Allison Janney, seriously, y'all have no idea what y'all did for me in one of the darkest periods of my life. So yeah. Did not mean to turn your podcast into a
No.
infomercial for a
No,
TV show
because
that went off the air
like
10
I
years
never
ago.
I never have a plan for the podcast because I think every story matters. I think every voice matters. And if that's your story, then share it, because I think to one of your points earlier, you know, a lot of people don't share that they're in recovery because there is a huge stigma around it, and that's what I'm trying to do
Yes.
here is to break that down. But your experience is so relatable to other people. I guarantee you are not the only person who found a little bit of help and a little bit of hope from that show. Actually, my mom called me and she had this like newfound empathy and understanding of alcoholism, because I think that
Oh,
She
wow.
was so heartbroken and so scared, because there was no education around addiction in our family, just like a couple of people that like have died from it. And it was just like a, we don't know, like don't ever have more than 2 drinks. And that was like the education that I had around addiction. That was it. And I remember my mom calling me and being like, "There's this show that came out. Have you heard of it?" And she felt like she could talk to me for the first time about alcoholism after watching that. So I know that you're not the only person that has found help down a certain road, or the only one that's had the drinking experiences that you did. And so like that, even our shame, and I think it's very normal to grieve for a long time over our addiction. Like, and grief comes in waves, right? Like we get angry at ourselves, we get ashamed about the things. Okay, maybe it wasn't that, like we hit that bargain stage. There's a lot of things
Right.
that we go through that are very normal, but they don't feel normal because our brain chemistry isn't normal. And
Correct.
that's unfortunately, a lot of people suffer from addiction. They just don't know that it's like depression. A lot of people suffer from it. And while your thoughts may not be medically normal, for the experience that you have and the brain that you have and the chemical wiring that you have, that's a normal experience, and you can make it through that. You can. Other people have done it, and we want to be here for you. We want to help you.
Yes. Yes. And there are so many resources out there now
Yeah.
compared to in the past. Like, um, I mentioned I use that I Am Sober app. I would have never fathomed the possibility of using an app, or when I tried using ChatGPT to help
Yeah.
at night. And there are still nights where if something's bothering me, I'll jump on there and be like, "So, this is what's going on in my life today," and make no mistake, despite the fact that I am coming up on 1,000 days, there are still many, many days where something happens and I'm like, "God, I wish I could go have a drink right now."
Mm,
But I know that the trade-off is my soul, and I'm not willing to give that up. Not anymore.
yeah.
The
You may
so
Can I ask a vulnerable question?
Yeah, go for it. I am an open book. I mean, I will tell my story to anyone that wants to hear.
Well, I feel like a lot of times, especially on this show, like we talk about what it was like, but you made a comment that you know who you are. And I would love, from your perspective in a sober lens, who are you today?
That is an interesting question because when I was drinking, I saw myself as just a copywriter. I did not know at the time that my entire career was actually marketing. And I grew up, my career grew up, um, in the shadows of the world. No one knew my name for 12 plus years. I was a ghostwriter. I had a pseudonym. And felt like I was in a place that I belonged in. I felt like I did not deserve to be present or visible. And now, when I go into conversations, whether it's business, personal life, work, doctors, friends, community, whatever, I find myself coming in and saying, I am Jason. And these are the things I know. And this is my opinion on it. And one of the things that's become really powerful is I now live with a greater sense of imposter syndrome than I did when I was drinking. Because I saw a quote years ago that talked about you can only feel imposter syndrome when what you know to you seems worthless, but other people see great value in it. And now, when I speak with different people I meet, I notice that I am the person they look up to. I am the person that they turn to. And that's not a position that I ever thought I would be in, but I just view myself now as being a friend, an advisor, a mentor, a sounding board, someone that can look beyond the mess. And this is not just business. Make no mistake out of that. Look beyond the mess and say these are what I think would be okay. And it's really had a profound impact on my life to be able to sit and recognize like I am enough and I am a person. There were times when I was drinking, I didn't feel like a real person.
Yeah.
It's like the best way I could describe it is like waking up from a dream, but discovering that the crap that happened in the dream actually did happen.
Yeah.
And realizing now I have to try to clean up this mess. And quite literally, if you look back on some of the times when I was drinking, I think that, and I have so many funny stories that I could share, like other things that in hindsight that I look back on and I realize I wish I'd have noticed those issues. You would think that the lowest point was me breaking my business, but there are so many things I did that I look back on and I'm just like, come on. Like, I remember telling one of my friends at the time, like, I have a problem. And he's like, what? And I'm like, apparently I got up in the middle of the night and I peed in the dresser.
So
And
we all have stories like that. You know what I mean? And those are the ones where it's like, yeah, okay, I am going to laugh. Like, my ego can handle it. I'm going to laugh at myself because that's ridiculous.
Mhm. Exactly. And most importantly, remember that we are our own worst critic. Whatever we think the world thinks of us is not even a fraction of what they actually do. So, I mean, so give yourself some grace, give yourself some credit, and recognize that we are all on this rock moving through the universe. So take comfort in knowing that we are all in this together, even if it doesn't feel like it. That's the last thing I could really say to try to help. And I would love to continue this conversation. Anybody that's new to sobriety or anything like that, you're welcome to reach out to me. The easiest way to get hold of me is on LinkedIn. My handle is Jason-J-Vanover. Dashes are intentional. And that's really the best way. So if anybody that is thinking of stopping drinking, like, and you need a friend or a shoulder to cry on, or someone who's just going to listen and share what worked for us in those moments of despair or things along those lines, I just want to say that I'm willing to listen. And I can also say that even with this much time, it's very easy to enter that point of having a near relapse, because I nearly did
Yeah.
on Thanksgiving of last year. I had a bad experience, found myself in a liquor store with a mouthful of vodka, and as soon as it hit my tongue, I immediately spit it out and was like, no. Like, I cannot believe how close I came to swallowing that. And it's the important thing is like that you keep going. You do not stop.
That's incredible. I mean,
Thank you.
I just want to say before we sign off, which thank you for doing the little outreach piece for me. I love
I hope
that.
I hope that's okay. I was like, I was looking at the time and I'm like, okay, Jason, wrap it up.
It's okay. We've had people stay for like an hour. There are no rules. It's like a podcast kind of, you know what I mean? But
Right?
I just want to say I am immensely proud of you, Jason. I really am. It
Thank you.
is such a joy and such an honor to hear your story. Um, you know, you're very raw and honest. And something that I was like, man, I would love to hear his story, is that you just seem to be so unashamed of who you are. And I think that it takes a lot of courage and a lot of time for most of us to reach that point, especially when we're on a journey of self discovery, to say, I might not be perfect and I might not have gotten it right earlier today, but here I am. And I still love the path that I'm on, and I still love and accept the person that I am. And I think that's incredibly admirable.
Most definitely, because you cannot control everything. You
No,
cannot change everything.
no.
But what you can control are your own actions. And I go back to that serenity prayer every night, and that's what we do. So I really appreciate getting the chance to come on
Yeah.
here and share what's going on in my world, at least down here in Texas. And hopefully we have it starts to cool off some, because I don't know how much longer I can take it. I'm sitting over here like trying to subtly fan myself out of the camera because it's
Fine.
hot. But
I totally get it. Well, Jason, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you again, for being so
anytime.
vulnerable and so honest. It was a joy to get to know you.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me, Whitney.
And to everybody else, including our sponsor, 3PL Systems, we will see you next time.
Bye.